This week on The Movie Man, some cheap horror thrills. I'm Eric Stafford and welcome into The Movie Man. As with social distancing, you will probably see Keegan doing vinyl voyages. Well, I'm doing The Movie Man by myself just to kind of keep that social distancing thing going. We're working part-time each day, so like we have Keegan is here at the first of the week, I'm here towards the end of the week. But I am Eric Stafford, I am your movie man, and I am here for you. I've recently been picking up recollecting some Blu-rays. I've always been a big Blu-ray fan, but at one point I decided to get rid of my collection, kind of pare it back, but now I'm starting to pick stuff back up. I really realize how much I enjoy that, and so I've been picking up some cheap horror movies. Now, cheap horror movies around, usually you can find horror movies because there's so many of them, and you can usually find some around, but I've been picking up some cheap ones, and these are just a few of some of the local ones I've picked up. First up, we have The Bye-Bye Man. Now, The Bye-Bye Man was made in 2017 and is directed by Stacy Tidle. That is a lady. A lady actually directed this. Stars Douglas Smith and Lucian Lavenscourt and Cassandra Bowes and Doug Jones. That horror people will know who Doug Jones is. And also has in the cast, Faye Dunaway and Carrie-Anne Moss. Now, what happens is it starts off very strange with sometime back in the 70s, and a man is going around stopping people about the Bye-Bye Man. You know, you're not supposed to, don't think it, don't say it. That's the call sign of the whole thing. It's a mysterious figure that if you say the Bye-Bye Man, then he'll start haunting you and he'll start stalking you, which of course is played by Doug Jones. Doug Jones is known for playing all kinds of different monsters, and he's also in Star Trek Discovery. He's the tall alien that's in that. He's a tall, thin dude. But Doug Jones has been in a lot of things. He's been in some Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy. He's been in a lot of things like that, but he's known for being this actor that does these unusual parts of a really tall guy and really thin. So he's usually doing those parts. But The Bye-Bye Man follows the story of these college kids who rent a house. They find the saying, don't say it, don't think it, the Bye-Bye Man, and all this stuff inside a dresser drawer. And then they, unbeknownst, start summoning the Bye-Bye Man, and he starts stalking them. And he tries to trick you, kind of like Freddy Krueger a little bit, mess with your mind. The film was actually pretty good. Douglas Smith, that's the lead character in the thing, does a really great job. And then to see Faye Dunaway and Carrie-Anne Moss is in a part that's like, you can't believe she's doing it because she's not on screen no time at all. But it's a really interesting film. My family enjoyed it. We had a great time watching it. I have older kids, so we can watch this stuff. But anyway, my wife and my son, we watched it, and we had a great time doing it. And there for a long time, we were going, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, for a couple of days. I did pick this one up at Big Lots. It was only like $2, and I thought that was a pretty good deal. But The Bye-Bye Man, definitely worth your time. It was a lot of fun. I would say 4 out of 5 buckets. Not a bad movie. Something you're going to enjoy and scare you a little bit and get you through that. But that's what good horror movies are all about. Now, up next, we have one that I really enjoyed. And I know this is really probably horrible, but there's things that I enjoy, movies that I enjoy. And this movie is called The Editor. Now, I picked this up at the Dollar Tree, but it is a very expensive release. It was done a few years ago. It came out in 2014, but it has this great release that it was done with a special backing that you have the one poster that they have, but then if you like the other poster, you know, of course you have the Blu-ray and the DVD, but if you like the other poster, which they have several posters of this movie, then you can switch the cover to the girl getting murdered on it, or you can go with the editor, which is like the group shot kind of picture. But I thought that was a really cool thing. I really did like that about this disc, that it was set up that way, and it has the two different posters on the two different discs, the Blu-ray and the DVD. Just a really nice DVD release from Raven Banner, and I thought it was the name of the company, and I just really thought that was cool. Now, the editor itself is a really strange story. It's about a film editor that kind of is around a lot of murders, and you don't know if he's doing them or what's happening, but people are dying, and the editor is around. He's a film editor, and he actually has to feel the film as it goes through his fingers, but he had lost his hand and his fingers years ago, so he has a wooden hand and wooden fingers. It's just really strange, but it's based on a Italian kind of murder mystery called a giallo, which is Italian for yellow, and they would all have yellow covers. The books, the little dime store books that they were based on, all had yellow covers, so it's called a giallo. And the classic one that everybody knows probably would be The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. They always had like an animal in the name, or maybe something kind of strange, the whip and the valise, or it had some kind of, it was almost a sentence for a title, and The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. But anyway, that's what the editor is based on. It's kind of a comedy takeoff on that, and it is written and directed and starring Adam Brooks and Matthew Kennedy, who are great in the movie. They are a lot of fun, especially Adam Brooks, who is the editor. It does. I don't know if you know much about giallo, Italian murder mysteries and horror, but it also has a lot of Lucio Fulci stuff in it, like The Beyond. There's a lot of tarantulas. There's murder, blood. Sex, because it's Italian, and then so you have some nudity in there, but it's really, really strange. And but they're kind of making fun of those films from the 70s. It was a time in the early 70s, and it's really kind of like them making fun of that, but at the same time they do a pretty good giallo. It was pretty enjoyable. Now, one of the special guest stars in the whole thing is Udo Kier. He plays a psychiatrist. Now, you might know that name, Udo Kier. He did all the acting in Andy Warhol's Dracula and Frankenstein. But now he's an older man. I'd seen him in Blade. He was in Blade. I think he was in the second Blade movie, Udo Kier was. But he's just got a very European look and kind of a Slavic accent, and he just seems really cool, but he plays the psychiatrist. But it's a combination of the giallo and horror, but also with a little bit of a riff and making fun of it. But I think you're going to enjoy it. Now, I personally, I think I would give it, for the general audience, I would give it 3 out of 5. Me personally, I enjoyed it greatly. It's probably the one movie out of this group of movies that I'm going to go back and watch repeatedly, and I'd probably give it a 5 out of 5 personally, just because I enjoyed it that much. But it is, making fun of this strange Italian horror, murder, crime things from the 70s that a lot of people may not know, but The Editor, worth your time. It was only $1 at the Dollar Tree, so a big investment there. Also, one film that I saw recently and that I would beg you not to see is a movie called Escape from Tomorrow, which came out in 2013. It stars Roy Abersham as Jim and Elena Schubert. She plays his wife, and they go to Disney. He loses his job, and then he spends this horrific day going around Walt Disney World in Florida. It's all filmed in black and white, which is just crazy to me, and filmed partially at Disney World without Disney's permission. Now, that would seem intriguing for a horror movie, and I was told it was a horror movie, but what I really found out was it was just a horrible movie. It is a terribly horrible movie. The guy, like I was saying, Roy Abersham, that plays Jim is like lost his job. Then he's going on this nightmare day of going around Disney World in Florida with his family, and he kind of has on the Small World ride, he's seeing demons and stuff like that. Well, that's all fine and good, but then he basically starts stalking two French teenage girls through the whole place with his son, and that's creepy enough. And then on top of that, then he's like, he has an affair with a lady that he just runs into, and then and all these women that he's chasing in this whole thing, he seems so starved. All these women he's chasing through this whole film are hideously ugly compared to his wife, who's played by Elaine Schuber from Days of Our Lives. And you're like, you know, why is he running after all these ugly people when his wife is so beautiful? And it's just, it's really strange. It's a total waste of time. As a friend of mine told me one time at a movie rental place years ago, he said, if you see this film, and we're talking about Escape from Tomorrow, if you see this film with a dollar bill tied to the cover of it, pick it up, take the dollar off, and then sit the movie back down, because it's that bad. It is horribly bad. Escape from Tomorrow. Don't waste your time. If you see it, run. Run for the hills. Horrible, horrible movie. Also, it was horrible for a different reason. One of my personal favorite movies when I was, I guess, a young man, I don't want to say growing up, but a young man, was Hellraiser, Clive Barker's Hellraiser. And the Cenobites just really, I thought that was so strange and over the top. And I just really enjoyed the first two movies. Well, now there's been like 9. And you're like, there's been 9 Hellraiser movies? Yes, there's been 9. And you didn't even know that because a lot of them went straight to video. And some of them went straight to video in Europe, so not even here. But I did pick up at Food Line, of all places, Hellraiser Revelations, which is the second to the last, is number 8 out of the 9, and it is directed by Victor Garcia. Pinhead returns in this direct-to-video sequel. Stephen Smith Collins is Pinhead. It's not Doug Bradley, who everybody had known for years as being Pinhead and had that great English diction, you know, such sights to show you and all this stuff. No, it's this guy named Stephen Smith Collins, who's not a bad-looking guy as far as like he's thin and got the shaved head and everything for them to do it with. But I noticed they didn't do his eyes the same. He didn't have full contacts that they cover your whole eye like Michael Jackson in Thriller. And so he had these really big dark pupils, but it wasn't his entire eye, and it looked really, really stupid. And his outfit looked like his mama made it. So, other than that, though, that's the technical side of things. The story is actually about 2 young men who go to Mexico and are going to have this wild, debaucherous weekend. And they kind of do, but then they end up killing a girl and then summoning the demons and as the Pinhead and that stuff. And it's got a nice twist on the original story, the original Hellraiser story, that they come back and basically are offering their families up to Pinhead, which is the twist. But the story's pretty good. And one of the actors, one of the young men, is pretty good. But the rest of the cast, well, there's one girl that's all right. But the rest of them are just, it's just really phoned in. So I would definitely say 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 stars, 2 out of 5 buckets, however you want to call it. It's not the best. But, you know, it wasn't the worst either. But I could see where, you know, it could have been better. But anyway, Hellraiser Revelations. From 2011. You know, sometimes you just gotta let them franchises like die out. Also, finally, now this movie I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I didn't really notice who was in the film when I picked it up because it's got the horror cover, and it's called The Possession. And The Possession came out in 2012. And it's about an antique box that a little girl buys at a yard sale, and it contains this evil spirit that possesses her. And so her parents are getting a divorce, and her parents are played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Negan from Walking Dead, and then also Kira Sedgwick from The Closer, if you've ever watched The Closer on cable TV. And so they're her parents, and then they're splitting up and going through this horrible divorce, and then she gets possessed by this devil box thing that's like a Jewish relic of some kind. If there was a really evil spirit, they would cast it into the devil box, and that's in this type of box. And it's really strange, but it's really well done. And you can kind of tell it's got like kind of a Canadian feel to it, like it was filmed maybe in Canada or somewhere up north. And it gives you that kind of feel to it. But of course, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is fabulous in it, and you enjoy watching the film just because of him. He does his best to get through the situation, but it's all very modern and very well done, but you do get the feeling of it's just, you know, a really high TV movie. You know, it's not quite up to theatrical standards. But I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. It's worth your time. You'll enjoy it. It was only $1 at the Dollar Tree. You can't beat that. But The Possession, so not too bad. But basically, like I said, out of all the films, the Editor is the one I'll probably go back and watch repeatedly. It had a lot of comedy to it. It had a lot of the disco tarantula spiders, as my nephew would say, that were going on. Just a really strange movie, but it is probably will be the one with the repeat viewing that'll go back. But I'm Eric Stafford. I just wanted to give you a little horrible movies to talk about. So we went through 5 horrible horrors just for you here on The Movie Man. Now next time, hopefully things are getting a little bit back to normal. Maybe Keegan will be with me and we'll talk some other movies. But I just wanted to do a little horror movie segment here and go through some 5 horrible movies. Horror or horrible movies, I'm not quite sure. But I'm Eric Stafford saying I hope you have a great time at the movies.